Evil uncovered. Louisiana woman who murdered her boyfriend's 6-year-old daughter, sentenced to life in prison. What should have been a quiet evening in a Louisiana neighborhood turned into a nightmare no family should ever face. On April 25th, 2023, a little girl named Bella Fontenelle, just 6 years old, full of innocence and joy, had her life ripped away in the most horrific way imaginable. The person responsible? Her father's girlfriend, Bunnak Landon, someone entrusted to care for her. Now justice has caught up with Landon. A judge sentenced her to life in prison without the possibility of parole, plus an additional 80 years for obstructing justice. But even as she fades into a life behind bars, the trauma and pain she caused will echo for years to come. A child's final hours. It was a regular school day for Bella and her older sister. Their grandmother had picked them up and spent the afternoon with them, eventually dropping them off at their father's home in Harahan, a quiet town just outside New Orleans. Their dad had to work late, so the girls were left under the care of Landon, a woman they had likely spent countless evenings with before. But this night was different. Around 7:30 p.m., the grandmother left. By 9:30 p.m., surveillance cameras caught something chilling. Landon pulling a wagon through the neighborhood. In it was a bucket. Inside the bucket was Bella's lifeless body. Prosecutors say Landon beat and strangled the little girl. Then, with a terrifying level of calm, she folded the child's body into the bucket and wheeled it to the home of Bella's biological mother, just one street over. She left it in the front yard, right by the driveway. Then she turned around, walked back home, and vanished into the night. A grim discovery. Bella's father came home later that evening, only to find his daughter and girlfriend missing. It wasn't until the next morning that he reported both of them as missing. An Amber Alert was issued, and authorities launched a full-scale search. The search ended not with a rescue, but with heartbreak. It was Bella's maternal grandmother who first noticed the bucket sitting silently on the lawn. Moments later, the girl's parents arrived with police. When an officer opened the bucket, they found Bella inside, dressed in pink polka dot pajamas. A child's bedtime outfit had become part of a crime scene no one would ever forget. Signs of planning and cruel intent. As horrifying as the act was, what investigators uncovered afterward painted an even darker picture. Landon's phone, which he tried to bury, contained disturbing evidence. There was a video recorded just hours before the murder showing Bella crying in her room, asking over and over, "I want my grandma." In response, Landon slid a bath towel under the door, trying to silence her. It wasn't a crime of sudden rage. Prosecutors argued it was premeditated and calculated. On her phone, Landon had searched for legal defense strategies and trial prep services. She sent eerie, cryptic messages to people close to her after Bella was dead. Blood found on the outside of the bucket matched Landon. The medical examiner determined Bella died from asphyxiation due to strangulation, with additional signs of blunt force trauma. What's even more devastating, the autopsy suggested Bella may have still been alive, unconscious, when Landon forced her into the bucket headfirst. One particularly haunting detail from the forensic report. Bella had scratches on her neck that were likely made by her own fingernails as she tried to pry Landon's hands away while being strangled. It was the desperate final act of a child fighting for her life. The trial? A battle over sanity. Landon pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity. Her defense argued that her past, surviving a Khmer Rouge death camp in Cambodia, had left her deeply traumatized and that she didn't understand right from wrong. A forensic psychiatrist who examined her over a dozen times diagnosed her with post-traumatic stress disorder and testified in her defense. But prosecutors weren't convinced, and they brought in their own expert. A forensic psychologist who evaluated Landon declared that she was fully aware of what she was doing. The planning, the cleanup, the silent trip through the neighborhood with the bucket, all pointed to a woman who was not mentally detached but fully in control. This isn't a woman in crisis, Assistant District Attorney Rachel Africk said in her closing argument. This is a woman who was angry and evil, a family forever changed. Bella's murder has left a gaping hole in her family, one that no amount of justice can fill. Her sister, her parents, and her extended family now live with the pain of a life stolen too soon. A little girl who once giggled in her pajamas and asked for her grandma went to bed that night and never woke up again. As Landon begins the rest of her life in a prison cell, the rest of the world continues to grapple with the horror of what she did. There's no comfort in knowing why she did it, only in knowing she'll never be free to hurt another innocent soul again. Bella's memory lives on. Bella Fontenelle's name will not be forgotten. Her story is a tragic reminder of how even those closest to us can betray the most sacred trust. But it's also a call to action, to stay alert, to protect our children, and to always, always speak out when something feels wrong. Justice has been served, but for those who love Bella, healing has only just begun.
For full video, click related link below or like and subscribe this channel.